everyone and welcome to the video. So today we're going to be doing the review of Saints Row's gameplay, arguably its best feature. So Saints Row has been out a few days now and I've got nearly 85 hours into it, so I can definitely comment on its gameplay and give a bit of a review. I'm looking forward to doing a full scale review in the future about everything combined, but right now we're just going individually through some things so we can basically comment on everything out there and really just get a feel for the game. So starting off, I want to talk about some small features that I really liked, and then we'll start talking about other things past that are more important. So some small things I really liked were things like the wingsuit. The wingsuit was quite a nice addition to the game, I have to say. Something I thought I wouldn't use at all. I actually had quite a lot of fun using, and surprisingly it was enjoyable. The wingsuit, not half bad, and I've got to say, it wasn't completely overpowered, but it wasn't completely underpowered. It actually found, at least for me, quite a nice, healthy medium, and it made for a pretty cool way to get down from high places as well. I don't know if I'd say I prefer it to the parachute, but it was something different, and it wasn't something I disliked in the slightest. On top of that, car combat slash destruction, incredible. I have to say this is probably one of the better innovations of this game. When shooting at a car, all sorts of pieces go flying off, and destruction is crazily good in this game. And these two things combined to me just make car combat and driving as a whole significantly more fun. I like that when I shoot a car, you know, things can kind of just go flying off it, and, you know, I like when smashing through places in, like, canyons and cactus and stuff, they go flying too. It's not, you know, just like Saints Row 3 where pretty much everything you hit will stop you dead in its tracks. No, in this game, you can destroy nearly everything besides buildings, basically, and I personally like that. So, we'll move on from there into more serious moments now and things that I think are important. So, driving. In this game, I'd say its driving, for the most part, is pretty good. I'd say it controls quite well, and I quite like it. My only real complaint is, sometimes, you know, the good cars and the bad cars, it's hard to kind of tell what the big difference is. You know, if I get in an Atrazone, it doesn't feel that much faster, at least to me, than an Olive, for example, which is a pretty standard car. And especially when you're upgrading stuff, you know, the base level of a car and its max upgrade, it doesn't even feel that different, whereas in Saints Row 3, you upgrade the torque and that thing goes flying instead of just how slow it was before. But, besides those small things that to me aren't that big a deal, they're annoyances, yes, and there's something I'd like to see improved. For the most part, driving's quite good, it's fluid and it's not unbelievably hard to control. I would say that driving in this game is arguably one of the more enjoyable things to do, and especially with a map like Santo Ileso, as I said, you can just kind of go around this beautiful map with some decent driving mechanics and really enjoy your time just having a drive. It's pretty cool and it's something I like. It's reminiscent of the Forza games, obviously not in controls or quality of the driving, you know, Forza's based around driving, but the whole, like, sometimes I'll just get on to drive and have a look around. I get that same feeling with Saints Row, and that's something I personally absolutely love. Now we're going to talk a little about combat, and I've got a few things to say here, some good points, some bad points, so we'll start off good. The fact you can change essentially everything about the enemies to really fit how you want to play Saints Row is a huge bonus. That already is a feature that needs to be in every single game you guys do if you make another Saints Row. Immediately. That is fantastic, and I love that I can customize the game perfectly to how a player like me wants to play. On top of that, the controls. There's a lot of controls options that you can mess with. And speaking about controls though, to go on to a bit of a downside here, I have to say, aiming in this game, it feels weird. I don't really know exactly what's wrong, but if I could describe it with anything, it's like there's latency. It feels like there's sort of like an aiming latency, and that I can't be precise. Now, I'm not a dev, so I have no idea what goes into making the aiming fluid, but even in games like Saints Row 3, the aiming in specific felt way easier to control than the reboot. Now, the aim assist does help this, I will admit, and, you know, being able to fine-tune the aim assist definitely helps, and I will say what also helped was turning down the dead zone a lot. It starts at 30, but if I was a dev, I would definitely make the default 15 in a future patch. It just feels way more usable to pretty much every single player who's tried it with me, so if I can make a slight improvement there, that would be it. But what I will definitely say is, aiming feels a bit off at times, and it's something I hope that if it again happens in a sequel, it's improved. But that's pretty much the main downside I have for the combat. Combat's pretty fluid once you get used to the whole aiming. You know, I like that the whole healing system isn't as bad as I perhaps first worried about. when I got the game, the healing was definitely something I had to get used to, but I actually don't mind it, and I have to admit, it's making the game play a bit different to how I normally play Saints Row. I like that I'm, encouraged to rush into the combat instead of running away and hiding for 5 minutes. It's something I personally like, and I like being rewarded for, being able to do the cool things that make Saints Row cool, like the really cool moves and the combat, and just general destruction rewards me with health, allowing me to continue on that destruction and continue that sort of spree of sorts. Moving past that, I have to say the enemy AI was improved from earlier gameplay. Now, I don't by any means think the enemy AI is perfect, and it can definitely be improved, but from when I saw the original gameplay in the Game Informer video, the AI was quite clearly very basic, and it has been improved for this game, and I do have to say, combat because of this flows better than previous titles. I think for a lot of this gameplay, it seems to just be general improvements on previous formulas, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But when it comes to, what new was added, there's not a great deal to really talk about with it, sadly. What I will say is the customization in weapon customization, car customization, and vehicle customization, like aircrafts, is good, and it adds to the sort of differentiating features in this gameplay. And I definitely feel that, having certain things you can customize and change really allows the gameplay to stay fresh. I will also say that, combat, it feels viable to use a multitude of weapons. In Saints Row 3, for example, the white pistols, you max them out and there you go, you never have to switch weapons for the rest of the game. It's completely overpowered and broken. I haven't found many broken weapons in this game. The pistol seems good, the SMG seems good, it's actually really good in this game, which is a great improvement over previous titles. The shotgun seems effective, the AR is pretty good, the RPG does damage, and the sniper's not half bad either. Every single weapon seems to have its purpose, and I like it. I also like that you pick up quite a lot of ammo off the enemies on the floor. This, again, I mean, it can be fine-tuned, but for me, I have it quite high, and this definitely allows me to stay in the combat. So again, it's more about, encouraging me to keep fighting instead of running away and having to stop the combat. And I like that because, gameplay is important to keep going and going and going. You never want to stop in the game, otherwise it can become boring. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much where I'm going to leave it. A lot of the extra gameplay things that I haven't discussed in this, such as NPCs and, other mechanics that I may have missed, will probably be covered in the map, as I feel it will be more appropriate to discuss it in the map. But overall, combat fighting feels good. Running and jumping and, wingsuiting, that feels good too. Driving feels good. There's just a few things that, for me, I would like changed, which I mentioned. So if I was going to rank the gameplay of this game, taking in the fact that, combat can feel really weird at times, and, there's certain things that I just wish were added that weren't, and there's certain things that are there I just don't really like a bunch, I'd probably rank it a solid 8, actually. I'd say its gameplay's pretty good. I don't think it's the best in the series, but I don't think it's anywhere near the worst for me. Its gameplay's enjoyable, and I think I'm going to play it for years to come. Now, this, again, is one of the more positive sides of the game, but yeah, I think an 8 is probably where I'm going to score it. I'll give it like a 7.5 to 8. That's my score. Let me know where you fit it or fit on that ranking. Thank you all for watching. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that boring stuff. We've got plenty more Saints Row videos on the way, so yeah, thanks for sticking around, guys. I love you. See ya.